Hey everyone, I hope you're ready because today we're diving into something heavy, something that really speaks to the crossroads we're at in terms of media, politics, and democracy. Recently, Donald Trump made some comments that were chillingly direct yet revealing. At a Wall Street event, he said, and I'm paraphrasing here, the media has tamed down a little bit. They like us better now. And if they don't, we'll just take them on again. But we don't want to do that. Let's unpack that because there's a lot going on in just a few sentences. First of all, the use of the word tamed isn't accidental. That's a calculated choice. Trump is essentially saying, I've got the media under control. They know their place now. And if they step out of line, I'll put them back in it. It's a brazen claim. But what's even more striking is how little resistance we've seen to it. Where's the backlash from these media organizations? Where's the pushback saying, we're not tamed, and here's why? The silence from these outlets is deafening. And frankly, it's troubling. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. Why aren't they standing up for themselves? Why are they calling this out? To answer that, we need to look at the bigger picture of how media functions today, especially legacy media. And by legacy media, I mean the traditional giants, newspapers, cable news channels, and other long-established outlets that once prided themselves on their independence and ability to hold power accountable. But here's the thing, that independence has been eroded for years. Let's take some examples. The Washington Post, for instance, is owned by Jeff Bezos. Now, Bezos is a business mogul with diverse interests, from e-commerce to space exploration. Before the election, there were reports that the Post pulled an editorial critical of Trump. Since then, Bezos has been making overtures, attending events, making polite comments, and essentially playing nice with the incoming administration. Why? Because as much as the Post wants to be seen as a bastion of journalistic integrity, it's also a business tied to a billionaire with multiple interests that could be affected by government policy. Then there's the Los Angeles Times, whose owner is restructuring the paper in ways that seem suspiciously aligned with avoiding conflicts with Trump's administration. And let's not forget Mark Zuckerberg. He's not a traditional media owner, but Facebook and now Threads are massive platforms that shape public discourse. Zuckerberg not only donated to Trump's inauguration, but has also made a noticeable effort to keep things amicable. These aren't isolated cases. They're part of a larger trend where media entities are increasingly entangled with business interests, making it harder for them to operate independently. That brings us to the core issue. The media, particularly legacy outlets, have become compromised. They're no longer the watchdogs of democracy we once believed them to be. Instead, they're prioritizing access and survival over accountability. They're too invested in maintaining good relationships with powerful figures and institutions to risk rocking the boat. And that's exactly what Trump is exploiting when he says he's tamed them. But let's be clear, this didn't happen overnight, and it's not just about Trump. The decline of legacy media has been a long time coming. Financial pressures, competition from digital platforms, and changing consumer habits have all contributed to this slow erosion. Trump is simply the culmination, a figure who's bold enough to call out their weakness and use it to his advantage. So where does that leave us? If the traditional media is compromised, who's going to hold power accountable? This is where independent media comes in. Channels like this one, podcasts, blogs, and other grassroots platforms are stepping into the gap. Unlike legacy outlets, we're not tied to billionaires or corporate interests. We don't have to worry about access or appeasing advertisers. That independence gives us the freedom to speak truth to power in ways legacy media can't or won't. But let's not kid ourselves. Independent media isn't a perfect solution. Building a robust independent ecosystem takes time, effort, and resources. It also requires your support. In today's attention economy, the most valuable resource isn't money. It's time. Where you choose to spend your attention, your view, your clicks, that's what shapes the media landscape. By supporting independent outlets, you're not just consuming content. You're investing in a vision of journalism that's fearless and accountable. Now, let's zoom out and look at the broader dynamics at play. Right figured this out a long time ago. They've built an entire media ecosystem designed to deliver their message unfiltered. Fox News, OAN, Breitbart, Daily Wire, they all serve as direct pipelines for conservative messaging. They're not just reporting the news. They're shaping it. Meanwhile, the left is still relying on legacy outlets like the New York Times and the Washington Post to carry their message. But here's the problem. These outlets aren't aligned with any particular movement or ideology. The institutions play in their own game, and that game is about survival, not advocacy. So when progressives hand them a carefully crafted message, they're taking a gamble on how it'll be delivered or whether it'll be delivered at all. If progressives want to compete, they need to stop outsourcing their messaging to institutions that don't share their values. Instead, they need to build and support independent media platforms that can deliver their message directly to the people. This isn't just about resisting Trump or countering conservative narratives. It's about creating a media infrastructure that's resilient, principled, and truly independent. And that brings us back to Trump's comments. When he says the media has been tamed, he's exposing a fundamental weakness in our system. He knows that legacy media is too compromised to challenge him effectively. He knows he can pull the strings whenever he wants, and that's why he's so confident. But here's the thing, we don't have to accept this as the status quo. We have the power to change it. It's going to take all of us working together to build a media landscape that values truth and accountability over access and survival. Because at the end of the day, the fight for a free press isn't just about journalists or media outlets. It's about the kind of democracy we want to live in. So let's start now. Let's support the voices that are unafraid to speak up, the platforms that are truly independent, and the vision of a media landscape that serves the people, not the powerful. This is our moment to take back the narrative, to demand better, and to build something new.